In today's world, there are a lot of conflicting ideas, beliefs, and values, some that are causing judgment, hate, and even violence among people. And I'm not here to talk about what they are or tell you what to believe, but I am here to talk about why making space for this discussion in your coaching might be valuable and give you the tools on how to handle it, especially if your client has conflicting views as you do. First off, I want to kick off by saying this is not a problem. Okay? You actually don't need to share the same exact beliefs as your client to help them. Now, don't get me wrong, it might be more comfortable and easier for you if you guys are on the same page, but we're in the business of training great coaches, and great coaches can help everyone, not just people like them. Maybe this comes from my days back as a therapist, where I worked with a large variety of presenting issues and people from different types of populations, and my job was to help them and not judge them. And I had to be able to meet them where they were. And I think that this approach can help coaches too. And so I'm going to be sharing a couple tips with you today. And the reason I think we stray away from this conversation is because of the discomfort it creates. And that discomfort is because we don't want to be disliked by our client, or we don't want to be judged, or we don't want to be canceled online. Or it's just a difficult conversation to have, or a difficult emotion to tolerate when we feel misunderstood or disconnected from our clients. But let me tell you this, by ignoring this conversation or shutting it down, that does not work. It's inconsiderate and it's invalidating. I want to share a quick story with you guys. I recently was just scrolling Facebook and I saw a comment on a business page with a company I used to work for back in the day. And it was a question that had a political undertone. It was related to the business, but when I started reading the comments, I was really shocked and not excited to see the response from leadership. Leadership had responded to the comment in a way that kind of shut down the post, saying this is political in nature, reminder that that is not a conversation that's appropriate in our business spaces. Please take this down or redirect it here. And it kind of just put a pin in the conversation. And it didn't seem like the best form of leadership, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that we force this conversation or we bring it up all the time, or that it's necessary to have even in a coaching space, or that you have to even agree with me on this stance. This is my own opinion. It's your business and this profession is unregulated, so full permission to do you. But I do think that this is more of an ethical dilemma. And from my perspective, it's a conversation that we need to be having in the coaching space and be trained on how to hold space if it's relevant or important to our clients, despite our comfort in having it. And again, that's my opinion that ethically we need to create space for it, because coaching is helping clients and specifically helping them identify and shift any thinking or behavioral patterns holding them back. Now, that can be caused from a belief, a lack of personal power, an unevaluated thought, a value system, or feelings of fear or lack of safety, and even current events and big topics such as religion, money, sex, and politics that bring these fears to the surface for clients, because those topics are value and belief-based topics. And when the coach can create space and manage that conversation with skill, it really is a beautiful opportunity to give us insight into what our clients think and what they value, and therefore how they behave. So instead of ignoring or shutting down this conversation, like that company I previously mentioned, hopefully now you understand why it's important to hold space for it. And I'm going to give you a few tips on how to navigate this with respect, empathy, and ethics, especially when your client's views are opposing to yours, which might happen. I have 4 tips for you today, and they are to manage your own bias, listen non-judgmentally, seek understanding, and stay in the role of coach. Let's go one by one in no particular order. So number 1, you want to manage your own bias. What that means is really taking time before you work with a client to proactively reflect on what are your personal values, what are your beliefs, and what are your opinions, and how might those personal values and beliefs influence your coaching process and your reaction towards your clients. And it's important to not only know what they are for you personally, but be mindful of any judgments that you might be carrying that are associated with those belief systems. Because what happens is that sometimes we'll unintentionally project our thoughts or have reactions or place judgments on our clients if there is disagreement or dissonance between the two of us. And you want to make sure that you're aware of what yours are so you can manage those judgments and keep the coaching client centered. It's going to be hard to empower the client to make decisions aligned with their values and their goals, even if they are different from your own, when you're judging them or when you think there's a better way or that your way is the only way. Remember, the goal of coaching is to help the client feel confident in their own ability to navigate their life with integrity, not live yours. Just like you don't want a client trying to convince you, don't try to convince them, okay? Here's my second tip for you. You want to listen, but you want to listen non-judgmentally. This is where you not only hear what they're saying, but you acknowledge and respect it, even when it's different from your thoughts, opinions, and values. Now, I will say this. There's a difference between hearing something from a client that truly is unsafe versus disliked. All right. Let's say they believe that starving pets or hitting children is okay because of X, Y, and Z. If you hear that, it might be important to ask a couple follow-up questions to really understand their mindset. But I think for the most part, we all can agree, at least in the United States, that that type of behavior is unacceptable and that there's even some code of ethics depending on who you talk to and laws depending on where you are discouraging that type of behavior. But just because you don't like something or agree with someone doesn't make it wrong. And it's your job to make sure that you are not having a reaction as if something's unsafe just because you dislike it. It's not your job to fix something that is working for a client that is in alignment with their values, which is a nice segue into tip number 3, which is seek understanding. So here we all have a unique set of values, beliefs, and opinions and behaviors, all influenced by a really long and really complex history that is made up of genetics, predispositions, demographics, upbringings, environments, and so much more. So here, before you prematurely judge, it's really important to take the time to truly understand your client's perspective and what may or may not have informed that. So questions that are open-ended and non-judgmental, like, what's most important to you about this value or about this belief? Or how do you see this value or this opinion or this belief or this thought process impacting your goals? What this type of questioning does is it builds trust and it helps you empathize even if you disagree. And it keeps you in the role of coach, which is tip number 4. Your role as a coach is to not change your client's values or belief systems if they aren't hurtful. But it's to help them explore their own path in a way that aligns with their values and that they can deepen their own understanding and self-awareness and make choices that are going to move them forward, even if those choices are different from yours. So rather than pushing your own viewpoint, you want to guide the client to reflect on their own and really understand how those values shape their decisions and their actions and their behaviors and therefore their results, and if that gets them closer or further away from their desired goals. Now, as I mentioned before, you can have boundaries here. That's not a problem. It's your business. Run it how you want to. But I think if you want to have an ethical practice, especially in today's society with a lot of culturally significant conversations going on, I think it's important to understand the industry that you're in, which even though it's coaching, it is still a helping profession. And even though our clients aren't in crisis, they are in a vulnerable state because they're seeking help. They're asking for support. And we should not be creating a judgmental environment where they don't feel safe to share or heard when they open up about their vulnerabilities. And these 4 tips of managing your own bias, listening non-judgmentally, seeking understanding, and really trying to understand their perspective and model of the world and staying in the role of coach will help you navigate these conversations around loaded topics like politics, sex, money, religion, etc. And if they ever do come up, they don't have to, but if they do, you'll feel comfortable and confident in being able to handle those conversations with skill, with respect, with empathy, and do so ethically. And this is something that I teach inside of my coach certification program, The Art and Skill of Coaching, which is a 6-month training program. It teaches newer and experienced life coaches how to coach from start to finish. We go over the basics, such as ethical dilemmas like this one, as well as advanced topics like coaching on the subconscious level, regulating the nervous system, how to create really good, powerful group dynamics. We only run 2 classes a year, but the waitlist for our fall class is open right now and filling up. So if you look at the notes to this quick YouTube video, I'll throw the link to get on that wait list in there. That way you'll have access to important dates and information regarding our next class. But I really encourage you to sit down and think about the current events going on and just taboo topics in general, and really be honest with yourself about what opinions do I have? What beliefs do I have? Are there any biases that I have or any values that are true for me right now? And how are they coming across in my coaching? How is it impacting my thoughts about my clients? Is that coming across in the questions that I'm asking and the feelings I'm having towards them? And does that help or hurt my practice? And if this is a question that's really helpful for you to integrate this material, I actually would encourage you to check out our coach question of the week as well. So this is something that I send out every single Monday morning for free. I'll go ahead and throw a link in the notes to this video as well if you want more information. But every single Monday morning, right into your inbox, I'll give you a really introspective, deep, powerful question that you can journal on, meditate on, or add to your coaching practice if you are a coach as well, kind of like the one I just asked you. So definitely hit subscribe. That way you don't miss any more videos that are going to help you up-level your coaching skill. And make sure you check out some of the other videos to keep adding those tools to your toolbox so that you can be the best coach that you can be for you and your clients.